Hello, everyone. Hello, this is Enchanted Essays. We're doing a discussion of the Inside Number 9 episode, Boo to a Goose. And
What a
obviously,
name.
spoilers ahead. Ross, hello, howdy. You guys want to introduce yourselves? James, you can go first.
Hi, I'm James, and I've been a fan of Inside Number 9 for a couple of years. I actually didn't start watching it until after the Dead Live special from Halloween. And after I watched that, I was like, oh yeah, I've really got to watch the whole series now because that was really good. But I have been a fan of Pemberton and Shear Smith's work before, like The League of Gentlemen and Psychoville. And I've just been enjoying the series ever since.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, so I'm George. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about League of Gentlemen merch, which is really nerdy and not that interesting. But I like making videos about it. Also, I've been brought up on League of Gentlemen, and of course, I followed Inside Number 9 because of it. So yeah, I watch, I think, past like series 7 and onwards. I've watched every episode live. Sat down with my father to watch it. Love the show. Honestly, it's cracking. Exciting to talk about it.
Brilliant. So, hi, Lars. Lars, have you seen the episode? Because if not, there will be a lot of spoilers. Hello, Alicia Alvarado. It's lovely to see you again. Okay, well, I will share my screen so that we can sort of look through it. Obviously, we won't watch the episode now, but it's just so that we can sort of see what we're talking about. So will this? There we go. Yeah, that should work. Hello, Laura. How are you? Nice to see you again. If I think you are the person I think you are, I think. So yeah, nice to see you again. Okay, so as I'm sure those of you watching will know, the first episode of this series was Boo to a Goose, which I actually saw at the BFI. Wait, what? What? I got a mention in the Nigel playing a Patreon mail out. What? Oh wait,
who's Nigel Planner?
Have you heard of the Young Ones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's Neil from that. Oh my god! Well, I saw that the person who runs his Patreon is following me on Twitter. So yeah, I'm not on his Patreon. So yes, yeah. If you could message me that, Laura, thank you so much. That'd be. I can't believe that! Bloody hell! It's because I'm doing a month of Rick Mail stuff, so I'm covering two shows that he's been in. So anyway, that's amazing. Thank you for letting me know. Wow. Anyway, so I'll try and get back on topic now. As you all know, it was the first episode was Boo to a Goose, which was set in I can't remember what it's called, like Mersey Rail or something, the underground system there. I remember being very surprised when I found out that Liverpool had underground trains. And this, I remember when I went, I was like literally shocked and stressed out. I was like about having to navigate trains. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, I saw this one at the BFI, and I've had to keep this a secret for 2 months.
Honestly, don't know how you can do that. Like, I feel like I'd just be like dying. I would combust, honestly, from it's such a great episode to start off the series, It's like there's so much that happens, there's so much energy, it's like, and then you just got to sit on it for 2 months. 2 months of
Yeah.
it's nothing. Ugh, God.
You just had all the power for 2 months.
Yeah. So yeah, I knew some other people through Twitter who had gone. So we were in like a group chat. We were messaging each other, going, and we all like, because of course it ended quite late in the evening and in the middle of London. So we all had to get to wherever we were, get home, or to where we were staying that night, either on the underground or on the train. We had to see it, say it, sort it. So yeah, that was freaky. Ross, it surprises me too. I assumed it was London. I just assumed it was London. Yeah.
I thought it was like a retro London.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you get that with Reese and it's Siobhan something, the actress playing his wife, isn't it? I know she's works with Steve Pemberton in Benidorm, but I haven't seen that. I have seen her in Happy Valley though, and she was fantastic in that. Laura says, I didn't spot any changes last night from what we saw. Laura was at the BFI as well. Yeah, I don't think I saw any. I think there was a joke that I think it's probably that I missed because I was laughing too hard, which is they stuck an R2D2 up my bottom, and then that head teacher character says, I saw it, it was in his bag. I think the it was in his bag line, I think I missed. Thank you, Ross. Siobhan Finneran. So yeah, do you guys want to start off with like overall thoughts?
Cracking one, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, well, okay. I'll put right. It's really cool, like because it is retro-y. Like you can tell that instantly from like, there's a little bit of color gradings. I don't know. It's everything is a bit yellow and browny, which is a bit like the early series of League of Gentlemen, things like that. And it's quite it's quite a nice little thing to see. I mean, we mentioned this before we went live, but yeah, the posters, they're quite cool. And also the fact it's also a bit like witchcraft and sci-fi. Obviously, we had Harold. I'm awful with names. Harold is the only guy I'm going to remember. Harold, he's doing this witchcraft spell throughout, and you have these lights, and it's all very like pulsing and stuff. Like when he's doing the spells and things. But then we've also got these like sci-fi elements of these body doubles and stuff like that, and like body snatcher kind of hoo-ha. It's all very cool. I thought it was a really good starting off episode for the series, and you can really tell there's so much effort put behind it. I really enjoyed it.
Personally, I'm going to say something a bit controversial at the end, but I'm not going to get there yet. I'm just going to quickly say what I liked about it. As you said, I did enjoy the look, the cinematography. It was pretty impressive how it makes you feel claustrophobic, like you're actually there. It's kind of like that. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but that Doctor Who episode called Midnight. It did give me similar vibes to that. Yeah, the David Tennant one. And I honestly thought they were going to go down that direction. And they do kinda with the what was his name? The teacher character. They do kind of try to, sorry, I'm trying to get my words right, but they it's the whole you get a bunch of people in one confined space, all from different backgrounds and states, different backgrounds and all that, and they're stuck, something's gone wrong, and you're just watching it thinking who's going to crack first, who's going to turn into a arsehole first. And I'm gonna hate saying this, but that's and this is the controversial thing. This is why I'm not a huge fan of the twist at the end, because I suppose I'm one of those people who likes the more subtle twists at the end. Like, I was expecting the teacher guy to be the one to have stolen the purse at the end or something like that. But it was a bit more. It was one of those more.
But I felt like if the teacher was the guy who stole the purse, I felt that as well, and in a way that would have been, because inside Number 9 we have gotten to this point where they are trying to, have the twist so actually twist worthy. So I felt like that teaching thing, if it was going to be the teacher, we would have figured it out, because you're thinking, why is he being like this? And I feel like if he was the one who stole it, then it would just be like, okay, right. So he was just being a dick for no reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then again, now that I think about it, this suddenly just came into my head. The Reese Smiths. Sorry, I have trouble pronouncing some of their names, but you know who I mean.
It's a very sibilant name, isn't it? All those hissing sounds.
It is, yeah. But yeah, I remember his wife's character. Again, I'm terrible with names. She turns around and says, she says something like, "I want to live more" or something. And now that I think about hearing that, you probably thought that she, nicked the purse just to cause conflict, just to, experience something.
Oh, I hadn't thought of it like that. But yeah, I think that the wonderful thing about it is that when they do set up red herrings, it's not like, it's not like a Scooby-Doo red herring where they sort of wave a flag like, hey, look over here, this is a red herring. I mean, not necessarily that, but they make the foreshadowing of a possible resolution very obvious. That the foreshadowing, like, which may not even be intentional. It may be just be us trying to put things together by ourselves when we watch an episode. But the foreshadowing of red herrings is equally it's almost as subtle as the foreshadowing for the actual twist. Like, I guess you guys have both seen 12 Days of Christine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the best episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the stuff about like where she's like having a breakdown and seeing her dad, and of course her dad in that has dementia. Let me think. Oh, maybe she's got dementia, and maybe that's what it is. But it was, hey guys, here comes a twist. Oh no, it's actually something else. It's subtle enough where you could genuinely think that that's what's going to happen, but then, the actual twist comes along.
Well, that's the the art of playing any good twist is you've got to mislead the audience and think something else is going to happen, and then pull the rug under them, and then they go, "Oh, of course, it was obviously him the whole time. How did I not see it coming?"
Yeah. Anyway, hello to SF from the Reddit chat. Hello. Hello to DCS Media. Ross, I really thought there'd be a clue with the posters. I guess there was, but I was kind of distracted looking at them. Lol. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was quite subtle. I don't think it would be enough to get the twist just from the posters. I'll try and show some of them later, but
the posters to me seemed more like world building than anything. Like with the quotes. The law it ain't. I don't know. The posters were a bit mixed, the law it ain't fixed, don't break it. Like it's kind of a bit on the nose, but I mean maybe it was just meant to be, I don't know, fun subtle detail.
I think there is a poster that literally says, "We are watching you." I swear to God, there's one that's saying that.
There's like one with loads of cameras on it, like those. Yeah.
Subtlety.
Oh, and hello to Anya. Hiya. So yeah, there's I think it was Quinn on Twitter who pointed out that I recommend Quinn's channel. It's MP misc.mp4 is the name of her channel, and she posts like interview compilations and stuff of Rishis with the Steve Pemberton, and there's one where like on the don't know if we'll get to the bit, but on the way to there we are. On their way to the meeting about Inside Number 9, they saw this couple in like identical jackets, like, or coats or something like that, just like hand each other an apple, like silently, like sort of so automatic they weren't even like looking at each other, and like eating it simultaneously. And they said, and we even brought it up in the meeting, and just as an idea. And they're like, yeah, I think we'll need a bit more than that as an idea for a new show. Because it's like their first pitch meeting for Inside Number 9, but yeah, it took them 10 years to get that into a show. So so yeah, I think we'll probably go through this sort of character by character. So what did you guys think of these two?
What recent Houdini, whatever her name
actually,
is.
I've got IMDb up here because I can't remember them either. But Reese's character is called Jerry, and Siobhan Finneran's character is called Edith. So Jerry and Edith.
Yes. Well, yeah, I thought they were both quite cool. I mean, Reese and Steve both sort of have less of a stronger role in this episode. And personally, I think that's what is needed, because we have had so many Reese and Steve led episodes. So it is much more interesting, I think, to have other actors lead these episodes. And I feel like Edith in this episode was brilliant at leading, the episode along and sort of being, I feel like, the audience's conduit, whatever, you know what I mean, and sort of saying sort of what we were thinking and being just there for us. And Reese also was brilliant in this episode. I found his character very funny, especially in the end bit where awful with names, the guy who's not a government bloke but is actually the government bloke, goes to Reese and goes doodle-doo, and then he goes, and then Reese goes, oh yes, I love that little detail from Reese. He's really interesting. The words he says and the lines he says are brilliant and quite charming. And Edith, it's a great character as well. What else is there to say?
Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to end with those two getting a divorce with the way they were behaving. So,
I mean, they kind of did.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, this is something else I just thought of. At some point, Edith does say to Jerry that, you used to be, more, upfront, when there was trouble, you were the first to stand up. So that's got me thinking Jerry the real Jerry's already been taken, and she's always been with the imposter. So saying that,
I sort of felt that was why they put that line in there to sort of.
And also, he and Harold both don't need gas masks at the end.
Yeah,
and of course the replicas don't need gas masks either, and the people accompanying the replicas all have gas masks and hazmat suits.
I thought to talk about Harold, because I honestly loved Harold in that episode. Obviously, he was a witchy bloke. Also, I thought he was important because whereas I felt every character sort of played into a sort of, I don't know, an idea of a person in this, in society, and Harold sort of played that ignorant person, people, who aren't listening, and that's why he's always plugged in. He's always got his headphones in, because he's not actually focusing on the argument at hand. He's not focusing on what is actually happening. He's just there, sitting back and trying to enjoy it. But obviously the episode is, well, I think the episode is trying to say is, for good to happen, you have to be part of the conversation. So many people, even, Steve's character was a bit wishy-washy with their opinions and actual thoughts. And because they were wishy-washy, it meant that, people got, things got escalated. People got, the things that happened. I just realized I didn't mention this when we were talking about Reese, but I felt like Reese's character, as we have mentioned, he's a blank. I feel like that's the best way to describe them, blanks. I feel like in the episode he did have, 2 or 3 times where certain things he said actually escalated the situation, and it all made me almost think, was Reese in on it? Was Reese's character, did he know, oh, that's the bloke who did it to me last time, or recognize something about him and went, so when the situation happened, he did certain things that made it escalate to the most dramatic sense it had gotten to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, they do say that at the end that when he's talking to the people who's left, like, oh, let us know if you want to participate in future operations and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think he is involved. But yeah, I hadn't thought about him sort of escalating it. So yeah, that is funny. Maybe that's why he was. He came up with the breast pinching thing, which of course is a League of Gentlemen Easter egg. Hello, would you like to have your breast pinched?
Oh, right.
I love
Now I
that.
remember. Oh.
I found that so funny. I was trying to remember what that was. I was like, yeah, I know it's League of Gentlemen, but I couldn't remember what it was. It's because series 3 is my weakest series for references and memories for me. But yes, I loved him, honestly. Steve was great. Reese, I mean.
Yeah. Okay, have a quick look at the chat. Yeah, there's a few hints he's already been replaced. Yeah.
I couldn't think of super early on ones about him being replaced. Really, I thought maybe that would have been nice, but maybe they felt if they would have done it, the audience is quite primed to hunting out little clues like that, and maybe they were concerned that the audience might be, I don't know, confused or figure it out too quickly, so they wanted it to be super nonchalant.
That's why you got to watch these things twice in a day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I can't watch more than one episode in a day for the first time. I've literally only finished watching the entirety of Inside Number 9 about a week ago, and I started about a year ago because I watched Sardines just before 3x3 happened. And then, of course, I immediately watched 3x3 because all the news articles are talking about it. So yeah. Anyway, DCS Media. I was on the train this Saturday. Been travelling by train more recently. But I thought the "See It, Say It, Sorted" slogan seemed pretty ominous and dystopian. Steve and Reese seem to agree. Yeah.
I remember. They get that logo. It's so weird. It's like the weird demandingness of it. It's great. They put it into an episode.
It's also demanding, but it's also quite chirpy.
Yes,
it's like quite cozy. Like, see it, say it, sorted. Like it's all sorted. You can have a nice cup of tea.
That's why. Sorry.
No, continue.
No, I was just going to say that's why they always get a woman voice to say it, because it feels more comforting.
I heard there's something about the underground where they get it's a woman's voice saying what station is next, and a man's voice giving commands, because people are more likely to obey a male voice, but they're more likely to they find people more likely to find a female voice calming. It's something like that, where that's why they do it. Anyway, DCS Media again. Reese's character gave me the vibes of Martin from Friday Night Dinner. Random thought, I know. I mean, I sort of know what you mean in a weird way, because on one hand, I think like he's a very, very different character, but in a sort of it has a similar awkward quality, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
so,
like Martin though would be more if he was on the train. Okay, if Martin was on the train, I think he would like be like different. I think he would like speak out. I think Martin is probably what Reese was like before he was, swapped. Personally,
yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
Martin was the dad, wasn't he?
yeah.
Yeah, so I think like the brand of awkwardness is kind of similar, but yeah, he's I think Martin doesn't care as much about what other people think of him. So
Yeah.
Ross says Edith standing up to the teacher and then immediately saying "excuse me" really made me laugh. Yeah, it's like I'm rebelling, but I'll still be polite. Actually, going back to the thing of Martin, say in the chat, what how do you think different characters would react in that situation? Whose side would they be on?
What, from Friday Night Dinner?
Well, from things in general, but I suppose League of Gentlemen or Psychoville would be a good starting point.
Okay.
I
think Ollie would be on the teacher's side, personally. I don't think Ollie's a rebeller, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Some people really love Ollie, and maybe people can be like, trust me, he's a rebeller. But personally, I think he's, he'd be like, oh God, like he might say something stupid, then instantly regret it, and then go to the teacher's side. I don't think he has that stand-up ability.
I wonder about Pauline, because like she's authoritative, but I don't think she'd like not being the most powerful person in the room. So she'd just go opposite whatever the most powerful person in the room would do.
Yeah. She would go opposite just to prove the other guy wrong. He's like, I'll beat you. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
So I would just say Pauline would just threaten him with her pens or something.
Yeah.
I'll pen you.
You snotty little bastard. Where's the purse, you dull scum?
I'll pen you to death.
If Anya's still there, she will be defending Pauline in the chat.
What about Hillary?
Ooh, interesting. I think he would try not to get involved. I think he's somebody who doesn't want to draw attention to himself and his operation, so I think he would try and avoid being involved.
Harold. Sorry, mate. You go first.
He'll just stand in the background and just laugh at everything.
Yeah.
Really.
I think even if we were going to recast it with League of Gentlemen things, Hillary would be the government bloke. He's the one in on it. But yeah, what about oh my God, I'm awful with names. Honestly, I'm awful with character names. I'm only thinking of the Psychoville version. Mr. Jelly, and he's basically. Oh, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Well, of course, we had a Psychoville actor from this as well, didn't we? With Mark Bonner, is it?
Yeah.
Mark Bonner. But anyway, yeah, Mr. Jelly. I think Mr. Jelly would be pissed off by Mark Bonner's character being authoritative. I don't think Mr. Jelly likes being told what to do. I don't think he'd want stuff being stolen either. I think he'd get annoyed, but at the same time, I think he'd I don't think he'd be having any of being a bossed around.
I think the teacher character would just immediately accuse him because of how he dresses and looks, and I think the fake hand would just immediately see a clown with a fake hand on a train, a purse is stolen. Yep, that's him. It's him. He did it.
Yeah. Anything to pin it on someone who's sort of different. Yeah, absolutely. I had a point, and of course I've completely forgotten it. So let's move on. Obviously, I don't think the Dentons would ever go on an underground train, so they would never be in that situation.
I guess Edward and Tubbs would be out of the question as well.
What about
Yeah.
Bernice? I feel like Bernice would be on the police detective side.
Yeah, it's another firecracker character. So it's like yeah, would she be, siding with authority because she sees herself as an authority, or would she be pissed off by someone that she would then perceive as a threat to her authority?
I think Bernice is just nasty. So she sees like someone and they're like, I can be nasty to them. They're like lower than me in the whole whatever my imaginary system. I think that's my personal belief of why she'll be on the detective bloke side, because she'll just be able to go, yeah, well, you're a whatever, and I'm awful with my words right now, but you know what I mean,
Yeah.
I was just thinking another two League of Gentlemen characters, Charlie and what was it, Stella?
Yeah.
They'll just accuse each other of stealing the purse.
Yes.
I mean, oh my god, that would have been perfect for the episode. It's just like an unhappy couple, and they just spend the whole episode like accusing each other. No, you stole it. No, you stole it.
Oh, this is just
Although
like
they'll be talking to someone else. It's like, oh, he's always stealing things, Wilma. It's not true, Wilma. She's lying to you.
The government guy would just be like, "Oh, I give up at this point." Oh God.
Yeah. Indeed. Going back to Friday night dinner, Ross says if Martin was on the train, he would have started the conversation. Terrible about the economy.
Oh, I love that.
DCS has replied with shit on it. DCS
Ooh.
Media again. Something that to me kind of indicated something alien was the score with all the synth music. Felt very retro sci-fi to me. Yeah, I know what you mean.
That.
I think it was Christian Henson again with the soundtrack. And by the way, have either of you guys seen the video he did about Deadline? It was like he did like a vlog documenting his process of, because he actually, for Deadline, he played the score live.
Oh my god, that's quite cool.
So you had like sort of digital tape loops sort of sorted on his laptop, and then he was like playing different bits on his keyboard. So obviously there's like string sounds at the sort of fake episode at the beginning, and then he got all these like humming sounds, like recording the back of his fridge and things, and he's playing that then through the found footage bit. It's absolutely brilliant.
Might have to watch that.
Yeah, it's quite a long video. It's like 40 minutes long, but yeah, I watched it when preparing for my my Deadline video essay. I used quite a lot of B-roll as footage of him, because it shows him sort of walking around the set and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
I think the music on Inside Number 9 can be a bit like, either it's a bop like Sardines, or it can just be mediocre. But I honestly thought the soundtrack on this was really good, and it heightened the performance for me. Obviously, great acting, great story and all that, but a soundtrack is good when it heightens the performance, when it works with the story and the pacing, and it did all of that for me. Honestly, I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I think that was partially because of the incredible soundtrack that was just played throughout masterfully.
Just notice the scene you've got stuck on. It's Harold, and he's listening to his headphones just as you're talking about music. I just think that's a really funny coincidence.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to talking about some of the other characters. So Cleo and Wilma Dick Show. So yeah, I actually remember the day that the inside number 9, the first photo of Series 9 released, which is of I'm sure everyone watching has already seen it. It's the picture of Wilma and Jerry standing on the platform together. I remember that day well because I'd really badly injured my foot and then I was sick. So I was sort of I was thinking, hey, it's like that scene in I'm Alan Partridge where he injures his foot and starts being sick. That did not help. I was immediately sick. So anyway, I was distracting myself afterwards by going on Twitter, and this picture dropped, and everyone went insane. And then half of Twitter changed their profile picture to that picture of Reece Shearsmith in a Santa hat. But moving on. Everyone on sort of Inside Number 9 Twitter has been really excited about this character because hats off to Eve Barr as always. For those of you who don't know, the costume designer for Inside Number 9, I don't think he worked on Series 1 or something, but he's worked on everything else, but he also worked on League of Gentlemen Psychoville.
Oh,
absolutely. He's a French guy, does their costumes. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's knocked out of the park again with this one.
I always think with like costumes is if it like, and it's the same with most things unless you're nerdy about it, like how I'm nerdy about music. I think it works best when it if you focus on it and you realize, oh crumbs, this is crap, that's bad. But this is the thing, these characters, they feel like real people, so the clothes feel like real things they would wear, and it all just really just works and weaves into each other really well. And so I don't spend all my time focusing on it merely because it is brilliant, because it is just, it feels right,
Yeah.
I just feel like.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
No. You continue.
No, I was just saying. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's only if you only tend to notice it if it particularly stands out. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of iconic looks. I remember them saying when they were doing League of Gentlemen, they were kind of worried about, because their shirt, League of Gentlemen, is so British and so much about the North. They were kind of worried about having a French costume designer, but he said that he did a brilliant job. And but yeah, the costumes are that most of these costumes, apart from obviously the quite bizarre characters, they're quite simple, but they stay in your mind. Like I don't know, off the top of my head, like Simon Says, you can tell a lot from the character, from the costumes, but it's still like a believable costume. It's not something outlandish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
What I was trying to say before is I feel like two things need to happen. Actually, no, just one thing. I just feel like Steve needs to do a proper drag performance on stage because he's just so good at it. I mean, I'm trying to think, out of him and Reece, who has played the most women characters?
Steve.
Ooh.
I feel like Steve.
I would have. I think it's probably about 50-50 because I would have guessed Reece off the top of my head. But maybe that's just because he's slightly more believable as them. But that's not about like the acting. It's just in terms of like their faces. His face is a little bit more androgynous. But yeah, I think it's probably equal in League of Gentlemen.
Yeah, probably. But he was cracking this, honestly. Like the like you know, Steve and sorry, what? I'm awful with character names. What's the other one again?
Chloe.
It's the Cleo is the name
Cleo.
of
Cleo.
Susan
Thank you.
Wakoma's character.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am awful with the whole name situation, characters and all that, you know. But yes, Cleo and Steve's character. I'm just going to say Steve's character to save us all the exhaustion. Were amazing because, you know, we have both two characters that are, you know, meant to be, you know, queer. I would say at least, you know, queer characters. But we see through both characters the two different sides of it. We've got Steve's character, which is a much more conservative side of what do you of the queer identity, and then we've got the more is liberal the right word? Liberal? I'm sorry, I'm not the best for these political, you know, the right terminology, but you know, it was really interesting seeing the two sides of it and seeing it actually unfold, because Steve does say some really, you know, interesting things to Cleo later on about, obviously, she has wealth, and that's an important privilege to think about when we're talking about someone's queer identity, because I don't know, but what I think is probably, you know, the more wealth you've got, I might be wrong, and I might say something hideously wrong here. I think probably the more money you've got, the more you can hide away from homophobia, if you get what I mean. It's more easier to pass you by, whereas because you can have more support, you know, also that's another thing, you can always afford more support, whereas if you are from lower, you know, lower income, or you know, you can't afford that support. You can't, let's say, you know, you've got something, you need therapy on a certain situation, you know, you've got maybe like an internal homophobia and you need therapists to talk about it. Well, that costs money unless you want to go through the NHS, which is obviously appalling, you know, to try and actually get a service through. So money is an important thing to think about for queerness, and it is important to see these two characters, but also their direction with it, which is Steve's character. He, I think, feels that he has gone through, you know, the struggles he's got, you know, even though they are quite difficult struggles, you know, with dealing with his queerness, and that if he can deal with it, anyone should, and it's not really a problem. Well, that's what I felt like. That's what I felt the character kind of was giving me. Whereas Cleo was seeing like, even though she hasn't dealt with as many problems as Steve's character, she wants it to be open for everyone and everyone to have the same thing. But Steve is sort of, you know, saying, well, you've not really felt the shits, you know, you've not felt the worst of the worst, you know, you don't have as much of a right to talk about and judge me on this topic than you think you do, you know.
That sounds like a
I hadn't
series.
Oh, sorry, continue.
No, I was just going to say that just sounds like a series in itself, really.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about Cleo being queer, but and I'm not entirely sure she is, because of course because Wilma calls her a fag hag, so I'm not entirely sure she'd call her a fag hag if she was queer.
Well, maybe she was saying that in a like a, oh, you follow me around, but like, well, as yeah, there isn't obviously like a straight up like a line that says it.
Yeah, there's no confirmation as to Cleo's sexuality.
But you know, I don't know. I felt like she might be, but obviously that's a, you know, throwing a dart in the dark. Sorry, you continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, again, I'm speaking from a perspective of ignorance here, but I think it is something that happens, sort of a disparity between the queer communities with I think when you sort of see the whole, obviously the majority of gay people are for trans people, but those sort of gays against groomers kind of societies are the ones that like teaming up with people who might not necessarily be in their best interest, but they want to try and keep themselves safe by not associating with other minorities who historically have been part of their community. They want to sort of separate themselves from society's latest scapegoat. But again, I'm speaking from a position of ignorance here. It's just sort of based on observations and such. But yeah, I did really like Cleo. I think Cleo felt like the audience surrogate for me. Bye, Laura Synthesis. Thank you so much for telling me about the Nigel Planer thing. If any of you have just joined, if you know who Nigel Planer is from like the Young Ones and Comic Strip Presents, apparently I was included in his Patreon newsletter. Laura's just DM'd me the thing. I'm so surprised. So I'm gonna scream about that on Twitter as soon as I get off the stream. But anyway, go back through the chats. Ross, I also want to say the cast was fantastic in this episode. Mark Bonner and Joel Fry in particular. Yes. And of course, fans will know both of them from other stuff they've been in with Reese and Steve. Obviously, like we already said with the Psychoville, and also Joel Fry starred in the Earth. Have you guys seen In the Earth?
I haven't. I've seen your video about the double bill thing, and I need to get on it. But no, I haven't watched it yet. I really do, though. Need to get on it.
Yeah, he does a great performance in that, which is of course interesting because Joel Fry, like the stuff I know him from, he's just got like these very small roles in sort of big Hollywood films as sort of side characters. So
I think he's great in basically anything he does. I know him mostly from Plebs, and I loved him in that. I love him in anything, honestly. I want to see all the Joel Fry I can see. He's got such a personality on screen. You just go, oh, great. I love this. You just get really involved in it, you know?
What was the name of that show again?
Plebs. It's a film.
No,
it's
not Plebs. Sorry.
The show you talk about. You said Plebs, didn't you?
No, it wasn't Plebs. It was In the Earth, or
the film In the Earth. Yeah. So yeah, that's a film that Reece Shearsmith did. It's like an indie horror film set in the forest, and it was made during the pandemic, and it's set during a pandemic, but not necessarily COVID. But it's a weird film. It's one of those sort of slow psychological films, but there is a slight sense of humor to it, but it's kind of slightly funny, which makes it more disturbing, rather than slightly disturbing, which makes it more funny, if that makes sense.
So a typical Reece Shearsmith film.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's like there's this bit where he's chopping a guy's toes off, and he's like, "You keep moving." It's like, great, I missed again. But yes. Hi, Joshua. Joshua also makes Inside Number 9 reviews. Hi, fellow Inside Number 9 fans. What did you all think of yesterday's episode? I think you've been a conversation about it. I actually thought it was going to be a Creep 2004 / Deathline 1971 style thriller at first, and the episode even made reference to that with Harold's cannibal story. I haven't seen either of those because I've seen barely any horror. But yeah.
Is there any killings?
Yeah. Don't get a lot of killings until the end. But yeah, I see what you I see what you mean. You really don't know where it's going to go at first. You just sort of have no idea where it's going to go. Hello, Brian Damage. Another regular to the channel. Filmed on the Merseyrail Underground near me. Oh, that's interesting. There was some story they told at the BFI about worrying about the people at Merseyrail worrying about how long it would take. I can't remember what it was. There was some story about Merseyrail. I cannot remember what it was. I might have mentioned it in my last stream, but I don't think so. Just watched it. Thought there were a couple of homages. Joshua again saying the ending was very well seeded, and the ending itself really made my jaw drop. Well done, work for Stephen Rees as always. Yeah, absolutely. Blew everyone's socks off at the that I talked to after the BFI. Yeah, we were all really shocked by it. I will say that the other episode that we saw was also a really brilliant episode, but I would say that this one was the more shocking of the two. First to Dr. Sarah's House of Horror on the railway carriage. Again, not something I've seen. The other was Shearsmith's character reminded me of John Mill's character from Tales of the Unexpected, Series 2, Episode 3, 1980, Galloping Foxley, also set on a train.
It's probably inspired on that because obviously Reese and Steve are huge fans of Tales of the Unexpected, and that's sort of one of the inspirations for this series. So it could be,
Indeed.
It's probably right that they kind of inspired it slightly on the character.
Yeah. Although I don't know if you've seen, I think again it was on one of Quinn's compilations. Reese was complaining about an episode of Tales of the Unexpected because he's sick of being compared to it all the time. I haven't seen that much Tales of the Unexpected. I would say it is better though. Although I do love the Tales of the Unexpected that I've seen, but I've seen the ones that are based on Dahl stories. So I know that other writers wrote sort of Roald Dahl style short stories for later episodes. And if you're listening to this and you only know Roald Dahl from his children's stories, you'll probably be very confused.
The only one I know is about the one with what was it, Lambs to the Slaughter? Is that it?
Oh, I love that one.
The one with the big cheesecake. That's the one thing I remember about that story. I remember reading it in English, and the big cheesecake slices. They were like, "Go to the shop, get some cheesecake or something like that." Honestly, that's a great story. I need to watch the actual. I think I watched the thing, but it was like ages ago. I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, I remember a teacher reading it to me at school when I was 12 and being completely blown away by it. And I'm planning on covering it at some point in a video because it's actually been adapted for television twice, for Tales of the Unexpected and for an earlier. I think it's the Hitchcock anthology series actually, and they don't do a good job because they fill it out by the police suspecting the wife, and the whole thing about the story is the police do not suspect the wife. That is the whole point. But yeah, I suppose I had to create more tension to fill out the runtime somehow. But yeah, I'll probably cover it at some point. Joshua Williams again. Cleo, to me, was someone who my impression was she was standing up for people without knowing anything when she said about injustice. Wilma was telling her facts about what she went through. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Cleo is both black and a woman. So obviously, despite coming from having a posh upbringing, she will have probably faced prejudice in her life, but yeah, it's also being younger. It probably hasn't had stuff nearly as severe as older generations. But at the same time, is more because she's young. Is very vocal about it. Our Deathline's on YouTube for free. Oh, yeah, I might check it out. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, Joshua. Thank you very much. So yeah, there's a lot of people on the stream today. There's 51 people watching. I can't remember. I can't remember if I've ever had so much. I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitter, which I've done for the last few streams I've done, but still, that's quite a lot. So thank you guys for watching. So yeah. I guess we should talk about other characters at some point.
Oh my god, I love this bloke. Oh yes, the bloke from this country. Oh my god, I've been right. I wasn't a fan of Detectorist. I know, it's mad. Wait, no, is he in Detectorists?
No, I think you're confusing him with the guy from The Office.
You're
Yeah, they
thinking of
look
He
identical.
does look a lot like him.
So you're thinking of Mackenzie Cook.
That's it.
That's not him, unfortunately. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah,
But
no.
yeah,
No,
but very similar.
I like him.
Skinny face.
Yeah, I will admit, when I first saw it, I was like, no, that's not Mackenzie Cook, is it? But
Yeah.
nah, it's not him.
Skinny blonde hair, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the guy from this country. I wasn't I didn't recognize him. I've only seen about like half an episode. I must watch it because the stuff I saw was
really funny.
absolutely hilarious. It was the
It's
scarecrow
one of these
competition.
little British mockument. Honestly, BBC has made some terrific, just little, recently not super loud mockumentaries like People Just Do Nothing as well. If you've watched that, that's a great mockumentary. And honestly, they got a real, BBC is good at making mockumentaries. They are funny, and This Is Country is brilliant, honestly. And I love seeing him in this much more serious role. Showing he can both do obviously the comedy that we all know him from, but also this, more interesting kind of dramatic role. I guess obviously it's not super yelly and that dramatic, but it's good. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked his character. I thought he's very believable, very vulnerable. I think he was just quite. The interaction with him with other people was quite well written and well observed. And anything else about him?
I would definitely say the actor. What's his name? It's Charlie Cooper, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he definitely did his research, because the second he came on screen and he started talking, that's exactly how. I want to use the term, neutral as possible, but that's exactly how homeless people talk. The movement, the voice, what he says, that's exactly how they do it. So it isn't. He knew how to do it, and I was thinking that there would be a twist to his character, because gonna sound a bit predictable, but I thought he was going to be like the unlikely hero by the end or something. But no, that's not what happened, sadly.
I don't think. Yeah, I think he does stand up for himself, and he does stand up for someone else by the end. But yeah, I don't think he really goes through an arc. I think obviously Edith goes through an arc. But yeah, he kind of sort of stands by his principles all the way through, despite not having anything. He stands by his principles, and despite being the most vulnerable person in that situation, he still sides with the person who's being confronted. Anything else about him before we move on?
I really like that. Sorry if you've already talked about it. I just disappeared for a second. I really like that little bit with him and I'm awful with names. The nurse. That's it. I like that bit when she was just like, he almost was going to give her the money back, and she was just like, no. And it was just this soft, tender moment in this, thing of drama, being wanted at every moment. This is the thing. Everything about the story wants us to be like, oh God, oh God, oh God, you know, it's loads of people and it's stuck on a train. Oh God, let's freak out. Oh my God, someone's lost their purse. And this is the thing, there's characters who are always trying to, okay, try and de-tensify it. And it's lovely to see these characters, you know, flourish, you know, and try and de-stress out this situation. And in this just wonderful little scenes, you know, I really enjoyed that, you know.
Yeah. Same here. That was a really lovely interaction, and it shows her compassion. But actually, it's time to move on to her, because I think the interesting thing about her is she is a really compassionate person, but at the same time, she wouldn't say boo to a goose. She's she's probably someone who who isn't okay with what's happening, but she's not going to do anything about it because she's too timid.
To
She doesn't
me,
even want she doesn't want like anyone to cause a fuss at first about the bag, but she still doesn't want any confrontation.
I feel like out of all the characters there, she is the most realistic. Because let's be honest, if we were in that situation, we would, you know, be nice but not get involved. And
Yeah.
yeah, she is the proper. I'm gonna try and say the word. The proper audience. Sorry,
Surrogate.
surrogate. That's the word.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked her, and I really like that bit on the end when she is just stuck on the train, dazed. And I also think she might be what Harold was before he was taken, you know, because Harold's very not there, you know, compared to Reece Shearsmith's character, who was a bit of a fighter, even when he was, you know, one of the blanks. Harold wasn't there. And in a way, she wasn't really part of the conversation in the same way Harold wasn't part of the conversation. She wasn't
Yeah.
pushing anything. She was keeping everything the same, you know.
Yeah.
And in a way, you know, maybe that is important to understand. Maybe the fact is you can be ignorant to the situation and you can be aware to the situation, but what is important is not being knowledgeable or not knowledgeable. What is important is actually pushing, doing action like the rest of them. They did something, even though some did bad and some did good.
I kind of see it as like, you know, sometimes things are beyond our control, and the best thing to do is just sit there and just let it unfold. Because uh, they she was powerless in the situation, and what else could she have done, really, unless one of them hurt themselves, because she's a nurse.
Well, I mean, I suppose she has the only power she had is towards the end. I mean, she could have voted to not have the guy open his bag. That was an option, but yes, she doesn't.
Well, I think if she did that, then the story would sort of just end there. But also, yeah, you know, like with it, you know, sorry, I've just forgotten what I was. I had a point when I started talking. I had a point, and I've
That
lost it.
happens to me all the time. Don't worry. That's why I have other people on the stream. Because otherwise I just sort of make noises.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to Brian Damage. Yes, Inside Number 9 is better than Tales of the Unexpected. There are some great episodes, but a lot of them drag. I watched all of them a few years ago. It was a slog occasionally. Yeah, of course, they're not all written for television. They're all adaptations of short stories. And I don't think Dahl wrote many of the script versions of his stories for that, or I'm not sure. Obviously, he
Who
introduced
knows?
them, but yeah, I don't think he adapted them. So, but yeah, I
Personally,
think. Oh, sorry, continue.
sorry. Personally, I think Tales of Unexpected has a much better intro. That's it, intro. to Inside Number 9.
Yes.
Inside to Number 9, we got some strings, but Tales of Unexpected, it's very just, it's fun, it's jolly. I like it. I saw an episode recently.
Sounds like a
definitely different.
fairground.
Yeah, I like it, except it's, you know, a fairground of sadness.
Yeah, yeah. I like how it sometimes like sort of counteracts the tone of the episode when an episode finishes with that da 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 da. It's like
It's
a
the
waltz or
Papa
something.
Lazarus of fairgrounds.
You should all watch the Amicus Portmanteau movies, Doctor Terrible, etc. They're all brilliant in my opinion. Are those like anthology horror or something? That would be interesting. I had a feeling Matthew Kelly's character, there were 9 characters in the carriage, was going to have whatever it was that was inside him, R2D2, would be inside number 9 again. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they've done that sort of double entendre before with the referee's a wanker.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that. But yeah, it's of course, yeah, it's interesting. They started with 9 characters, and the first episode of the last series, and interesting as well to start off with another ensemble one. I haven't watched. When I watched the show, I didn't see it all in order, so I can't remember how many of them start with ensemble ones. But obviously, series 1 and series 2 both start with ensemble ones because it has Sardines and then La Couchette. I can't remember what are the first episodes of other series off the top of my head.
I'm kind of cheating because I've got the Wikipedia page up, and they pretty much got the guess, you know, the cast list, and they've got an ensemble. A big cast in series 1. Series 2, there wasn't really a lot.
I think it's nice to have a mix between ensemble and like just the two of them, you know, because obviously I love Reese, I love Steve, of course. I want to see all projects they're in, but also, you know, I like to see their words coming out of someone else's mouth. That's why I like 12 Days of Christine so much. It's got a bit of Reese in, but it's, you know, also got the glory of other actors.
Yes, he. For those of you who don't know, Reece Shearsmith is known in the fandom for having a bone to pick with everyone saying that 12 Days of Christine is their favourite because he's not in it that much. I think he's also brought up the fact that it was quite an easy. It wasn't as difficult to write as the more comedic ones, but of course it is, and of course the one that's less comedic is going to be more popular because you know it's far more subjective comedy. I mean, I've seen people who really don't like Sardines, like George from Headphones UK, who I've done the Psychoville film streams with. He loves League of Gentlemen. He loves Psychoville. Saw like the first 20 minutes of Sardines and couldn't get into it, and then just like didn't watch Inside Number 9. And I was just like, you missed the twist though. But yeah, it's just you couldn't get on board with that sort of awkward comedy. Pardon?
Sorry, I'm awful with this talking over people.
Don't worry, I do it all the time.
Yes, I mean, dropping the whole of Inside Number 9 just over one episode. God, I couldn't do that. Like, oh, just give it another go. Just choose another episode. I know, like, this is the thing. I know there are. If it was all period dramas for me, because period dramas isn't my thing. If it was all Elizabeth Gadge, I wouldn't be able to handle it. But it isn't. It's an anthology.
Yeah.
Just pick out a different episode.
You have to explain that for new viewers, that it's, you know, it's different things every episode. It's not always, you know, they're all different things. Don't just judge it by one episode.
Yeah, and even for an anthology series, it is very varied in terms of genre and tone. It's varied so much. I mean, obviously there are sort of genre episodes where the genre is a big part of the premise, like Zanzibar or Wuthering Heist. But yeah, you really don't know what to expect. And there are some episodes where the plot twist is the genre, like Mr. King or Random Acts of Kindness. Those ones where you where the genre changes, but they do it so well that the genre changes completely, and yet it doesn't take you out of the episode. But
I do like Random Acts of Kindness, except when they go to the future. I have a mate who watches Inside Number 9 with me, and we both got this. We both went to each other after watching that episode. And we loved it until they went to the future. Why does every future have to be all white? It's like in the future we get rid of colors and get rid of taste, and we all are white. Well, like all the back, everything. It has to all be white. Get rid of the wood. Get rid of any other kind of color. We have to have only white surfaces because that's clearly what we have in the future.
I don't know. I feel like some companies like Apple might be onto something.
Yeah, but it is strange though, because it has been sort of what people's impression of the future has been since like the 1950s.
Everything is just going to be one giant white paradise. You walk outside and you go, "Ah, God, my eyes!" because the light is shining out off the houses because they're just all painted plastic white.
Yeah. Back to Brian Damage's comments. Agree with the opening titles of Tales of the Unexpected. Yeah, they're good. The music in this episode is quite David Lynch-esque, I thought. I have not seen any David Lynch, so I wouldn't know, but I don't know if either of you guys have.
I want to.
Razorhead's amazing.
Yeah, that I've heard of that one, but yeah, again, Tarantino. I haven't seen any Tarantino either. People are like, it's ridiculous.
What?
I'm a film and TV YouTuber, but most of like the films that like everyone else has seen, I have not seen.
Just watch a Razorhead because honestly, it is the greatest, dare I say it, mindfuck you will ever have. It's like, what the hell am I seeing? What? Oh my! And then it just continues. The film continues, and there's so many questions, but it just continues, and you're like, okay, this is happening to me now. This is what's on screen. Rightio, okay, and now it's over with. Okay, that was definitely a film, but it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful mindfuck ever.
Yes, Brian Damage here agrees with you. Well, I might like that then, because my one of my favorite films of all time is the Monkees film Head, which is it's a long story for me to get into now, but I do cover it briefly in my Monkees history video. But it was the first of those TV shows. It's like sitcoms about a band where they're put together for the show, but they also make music. But then they made the mistake of hiring talented people who then like wanted to make music and then weren't allowed to, and then had to sort of felt really constrained by this family friendly image, so they made this film to sort of kill their family friendly image, and it's this weird dream like it feels like a nightmare, and like quite an accurate nightmare, not just like a horror film, just like weird stuff happening that's quite unsettling, and just like this lack of control.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, it is. A lot of people probably be confused by me saying it's a horror film, but it is it is because it just gives you this feeling of existential dread as you watch it. It's an identity crisis as a sort of series of quite strange scenes, but it makes you go. It makes you like Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas. You're going, what does it mean? Like, how is this a metaphor for what they were going through in their lives at the time? Anyway, I can't remember, but I think we might have gone through all the characters one way or another, because we talked a bit
We've
about.
talked about the nurse. Have we?
We mentioned Joel Fry, but we haven't really talked about. I think with Joel Fry and Mark Bonner, we've sort of talked about them, but not really about their
character.
characters. So let's start off with Mark Bonner's character, who was called Raymond. What did you guys think of him?
Prick.
Yeah,
Honestly, I hated him so much. But I mean, to be fair, he's good at playing a dick. You know, I liked that.
yeah,
You know, there's some people who are just born into this world. You know how, Steve's meant to be killed and he's meant to play a dick, you know? And honestly, I
yeah,
like him because he plays a bit of a dickhead in Psycho Phil, and honestly,
yeah.
terrific actor. And he was terrific in this. I know I keep on just saying everything's terrific. I mean, it's a really good episode. But I really liked him in this, honestly. He did seem a bit too arseholey at times, but then I was like, no, I don't care. Like I sort of extra suspended my belief because sometimes, like especially the bit where he just chokes for ages, I felt like this person wouldn't exist like at all. But then we're also watching an Inside Number 9 episode, so fuck it, you know.
I think he was, for me, it was quite believable, like the whole teacher thing, because not just teachers, don't they suck, but you could kind of see that's that resentment of constantly having to deal with a lack of respect. I mean, I'm not saying he isn't just like a prick, but because he is, but like how that sort of lack of respect has, after previously getting it, has sort of built up this resentment. And of course, he's not able to choke students. That's generally frowned upon. But
What? This
he
is
is
nuts.
in this. He is in this situation where he's trying to take control in the situation, but there's no rules. There's no one stopping him. He's sort of, he is the law in this train carriage. And
In some ways, you got to think like I don't think he was a teacher. I think he might have been at some point, but I don't think when he was on that train he was a teacher. Like he still was as that his job. I think he was like bit deranged, bit mentally unwell, and that might have been even why he lost his job. Maybe thinking about the choking, maybe that's why he did it for so long, and it was the most unbelievable bit about that choking scene was no one was like pushed him. I mean, personally, I think if I saw someone being choked, I would at least go, "What the fuck?" and push them. I wouldn't like do something super nuts, but just a push to try and separate the two. You know, I feel like that's what the general public do. Just try to separate, not involve themselves in the fight. You know, and at least that's what I think. But I thought he just seemed a bit unwell. He was a bit of a prick, of course, but pricks are also, you can also be a bit, unwell. And
yeah,
he just seemed like he could burst out with anger, like he couldn't control himself. He couldn't actually do anything for himself. He also seemed not two-dimensional, but a shell almost. Like he seemed angry, and then if he wasn't angry, he wasn't talking. Like he wasn't humanized like anyone else. The only time he was humanized is when another character is being dehumanized and and that I'm talking about government bloke here. I'm forgetting the name. Government bloke here, and he's going, well, this was all set up by the government, and he's like, what? Wait, what? And that obviously is a bit of he's losing the power because he doesn't know, he's not got the most knowledge. He's expressing that he doesn't have the most knowledge compared to everyone else on the cart, and we can see a more, shift in power. But that is after everything else. Up to that point, he is trying to portray He's either the strong, angry, powerful man, or he's nothing. You know, I think that's quite interesting in his performance.
It's pretty clear that the way all these characters were written, since I mean, you could say they were written to be different political stands. His one is, well, it's his one was the most obvious one because it's the, oh, I'm British, I'm, you know, I've got my rights, you know, this is what needs to be done. And at the end, as you said, once the power's been taken, he's like, oh, right, okay. You know, you know, when you put those type of characters in that situation, in a small scale situation, and they think they can do whatever they want, once they realize they can't do whatever they want, and there's someone above them, they pretty much become what they truly are, and that's, you know, a coward.
True.
Well, going back to I can't remember which of you was talking about sort of playing their type. I just had a thought. Reese is playing against type because I don't think he gets angry once in this episode. I think that's a really interesting. They got him to sort of play against type as the person who doesn't get involved. I think that's really interesting.
Has Steve ever played a character where he's just pure anger? Has he ever played a Jeff? Has he ever played a Mr. Jelly?
I mean, off the top of my head, in Simon Says his character is pretty pissed off like the entire time.
Oh yeah,
but
I kind of want to say Pops from League of Gentlemen. He got pretty angry.
yeah, true.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Mark Bonner's character. I think the fact that I think he's still working as a teacher because I think that I feel like there's a long build up of resentment there.
Honestly, I feel so sorry for teachers. You know, one of my best mate's mother's is a teacher. I feel so sorry for her.
Yeah,
it's got to be one of the worst jobs ever. Dealing with little pricks all day. Honestly, you know, it's the worst kind of human. It's little human, you know, that thinks they're clever. It's annoying.
Yeah, and you know, like doctors and nurses, one of the worst paid jobs and yet one of the most important, which is a weird construct of society that the most important jobs are the ones that pay the least. But anyway, what did you guys think of Joel Fry's character? Because of course we've talked a bit about him, but we haven't really talked about his character.
Obviously, I'm a big Joel Fry guy. Like him, I liked him. I always liked seeing him on screen. To me, for a decent amount of the episode, I was more like, "Oh my god, I love Joel Fry! Oh my god, it's Joel Fry." He was, you know, he was entertaining. I don't think he had as much oomph to him, you know, until like I would say the second half, the final, you know, I would say 15 minutes, you know, he had more of an oomph to him compared to the early few minutes because he just seemed a bit like a nutter and a nutter without any explanation. Obviously, we know now that he was, you know, government bloke and he had in the bag the purse. But part of the thing that made me interested in him was in the same way. I think, you know, I think the pairing is very good, you know, with who we've got on screen, which is his character seems like there was something missing, you know. We weren't seeing the whole picture, you know. And I thought for a decent amount, and to be fair, this episode, the twist did get me. I thought, has he experienced being homeless? Has he got on even maybe like a bad experience at school and this head teacher thing, or, you know, this teacher being very demanding, or even I'm thinking maybe, you know, maybe it's a story of abuse, even, you know, these sort of ideas pop into my mind whilst watching him. And then for it all to be taken away and him to be actually the smart lad behind it all was really good, and him to be like, yeah, well, just sign this. This didn't actually happen, you know, and that was really good. You know, carpet taken away from me.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be the first character to die.
I get
Yeah.
why. I get why, because he seemed a bit personally, as I say, I thought he seemed a bit weak in the early part, and that's I thought that's probably what I thought was going to happen to him.
Rewatching it though, knowing who his character truly is, it does make the way he talks, like he was good at making himself look less suspicious by making himself look the most suspicious in a weird, roundabout way. Yeah,
true. Yeah,
because he's there as an agitator, really, isn't he? He's there to obviously to cause the situation. So, you know, him acting you know, paranoid and is just to, and you know, acting all shifty is just to make other people think that there's something suspicious about him, and then to cause this division between them. And yeah, of course, he steals the first, which is the main catalyst. But yeah, it's really.
I also noticed that he pretty much starts the whole paranoia.
True.
So,
because his character's naturally paranoid.
Yeah, like the bit where Charlie Cooper's characters ask if change. It's like, and it's like, oh, I need a card machine. No, don't use cards, mate. No, don't use cards. That's how they track you. You know, all these cameras. You know, they're watching you. It's like,
I do
do you have
love
any change then. No.
I loved him in that. Like, can't you? It's just he can't tell. It was like, I remember giggling at it because it's like, mate, he's clearly joking. What are you on about?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, go on. Wait, what? Yeah.
But yeah, it's also quite the well observed thing of people not, even though people like him who will probably have cash on him if he's scared of having credit cards and things. He's him then still saying he doesn't have any change. Is funny. So I mean, we've kind of gone through the plot a bit when talking about sort of character by character. And we've kind of already talked about the twist. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the twist?
it's one of those twists that makes me wish there was another episode of this, like a sequel. That's the annoying thing about this show.
Sequel, what would you like to happen? Who would you like it to follow?
I would like to see it from the nurse's perspective, because at the end she's clearly the one most traumatized by it. And as I said, to me, she is the most realistic person.
True.
And I don't. This is going to sound weird. I don't want it to go down the usual rebellion route, like, oh, she knows the truth now, she's now going to start an uprising. I just want to see how a normal person would try and get used to it, knowing you know the truth.
I thought she would, like, out of all the characters, she seems like the only one that would, though, start a rebellion. Because she is so shocked by it all. Do you not feel that at the end? Compared to the headmaster would be like, okay, well, this thing's happened to me, but I don't care. And the other person's like, you know, the drag guy's like, you know, I don't care, you know, same sort of thing. Whereas I feel like her, she was still like, she was left on the train. She was still stunned by it. Like, if anyone was going to start a rebellion out of any of them, it would have been her, I think.
I don't know. I don't think she's much of a Katniss Everdeen, but also, who would believe her? I think she knows that no one would believe her, and if she started saying that, the same thing would happen to her. She'd be killed and replaced. So, I think she's I don't think she would say anything. I think she'd be too scared to.
I think the
now
answer
that she
to
knows
this
the truth.
episode is, don't ever travel the underground, or have a gas mask on you. And then the problem is solved no matter what. Just don't travel the underground and wear a gas mask. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Or
Inside number 9, it teaches you life lessons.
Or if you're on the train, or even if it's in the underground or not, and there's a problem and it stops and people start getting a bit agitated, just move into the next carriage and just leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Which
let
I'm
them
Surely the
get
lesson is
replaced.
not to do that. Surely the lesson is you shouldn't be complacent. I mean, you'll survive, but it's not. Is it the right thing to do?
I just want to quickly say, that's one thing I've noticed. Why didn't any of them just move into the next carriage?
Oh my god, that's a great. Yeah.
I mean, the only person who leaves the carriage at any point is the homeless guy, because he tells the driver about what's happened. But
they were too like, nah, I wanna stay, and this is my seat. I don't know.
Then again,
like
if something's been stolen, it'd look suspicious if one of them left.
Oh yeah, true.
So yeah, maybe that's it.
Maybe,
the other one will be like, oh, what are you doing there? Hey, you trying to bugger off? No, you can't.
That's true. But then again, there wouldn't be a plot either. So this is why you don't put realistic solutions to these situations.
Yeah, I can't work out if it's just me or if Susan Wacoma's hair is a slightly different shade of purple. Like, I think it's slightly more pink.
Wait,
or darker. I think it's more vibrant, the replica's hair, but only slightly. That, or I've gone completely mad. Either is an option.
I'm gonna say you've gone mad. I think you've done too many monkeys. What are you on about?
I just think her hair is a stronger shade of purple, but only slightly. The replica version of her than the real version of Cleo.
Didn't they film the actual station bits at a real station and the inside the train bits in a different? Are they two different sets, and they just happen to have?
I bet it's two different sets, because otherwise it'd be like painful.
Yeah, it'd be far easier to film in an actual. I mean, it'd be far harder to replicate an actual station. But an actual train carriage. I think that there are underground lines in London, I know of, where there's like abandoned stations. Of course, the Mersey Underground, Merseyrail hasn't been around as long, so I doubt. I doubt that. Oh, blimey, we've got 70 people watching now. Hello.
Oh, damn. No pressure.
That's amazing. I suppose because it's such a hot topic, like on Twitter in general. So I think that's probably what's got a lot of people tuning into us. But I just thought of another League of Gentlemen character and how they'd react to this situation. Is I was thinking about the what Wilma's line is, the sad little fag hag that you are, or whatever it is, to Cleo. Tish would just giggle, go tee.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, any final comments on the episode, guys?
No, but other than it was a great, great start to the series. I hope I hope I'm happy with all the rest of them in this series, as happy as I am with this one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, as I said at the very start, I thought the twist was a bit far-fetched, but it's just one episode out of. This is the first episode out of 5. It's the last series. They want to go out with a bang, so yeah. I just really hope that they did a crossover with Psychoville in their previous series. I really hope they do like a crossover with League of Gentlemen. In this...
Sorry.
Sorry. No, I wasn't going to say anything else. I was just going to say it just feels right for them to end where it all started, in a way.
I think the only thing that deters me from the idea that they would do that is the fact that League of Gentlemen is Mark Gatiss, Jeremy Dyson, and obviously those two, whereas Inside Number 9 and Psychoville has always been Reece Shearsmith and, why am I pulling a blank here? Reece Shearsmith, Steve Pembleton. Mark Gatiss has appeared in both projects, but only as acting roles. So that was the thing that I think personally deters me from the idea that there'll be a League of Gentlemen one. Also, the fact that we've got the League of Gentlemen reunion special. I'm sorry to be a killjoy, though.
That's fine.
We can all dream.
But then again,
I think. Oh, sorry. Continue.
All I was going to say. Then again, those two having a writing credit mark the other two League members. That could be the twist.
Yeah.
The Inside Number 9 twist.
I think it's possible that instead of ending on a sort of the most disturbing or horror kind of episode with this final series, I think maybe they go for a sort of slightly meta episode, which obviously they've done sort of episodes that are they're not obviously meta, but you can tell that like their experiences sort of fed into the characters, even though they're like Bernie Clifton's dressing room. They are based on a certain type of double act that isn't the style of comedy that they do. But that whole thing of working together and that relationship does it at the same time feel a bit meta. So I think maybe they'll end it on an episode that is slightly meta, but about something coming to an end, like the end of the League anniversary specials. So I think it might end on that kind of note, but we never know. I definitely don't think it'll be the episode that the other episode I saw at the BFI. I definitely don't think that will be the finale. Like I said, it is a very good one, but yeah, I think some people who saw Boo to a Goose at the BFI would have thought that it was going to be the last one because it obviously it has quite a shocking ending. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm very excited, and I think that it's amazing that this is let me see, like the 43rd episode or something, or the 46th.
Crikey, that's so many, honestly. Good work on the lads.
50th.
Yeah.
It's their 50th one.
Wow.
Again, I'm cheating. I'm using Wikipedia.
Wow. So yeah, I think that the quality they've been able to put out is incredible. I don't think there's ever been. I mean, even if it wasn't an anthology series, it would be difficult to be that consistently good. And a lot of
even their crummy episodes are good episodes.
Yeah, I think a lot of their less popular episodes, I think if it was any other show, they'd be fine. I think it's just because Inside Number 9 is such a high standard. And also with Inside Number 9, you could completely forget an episode that could be like in your top 10. Like I was talking to my dad about the show, and I mentioned, that witch hunting one. He's like, what? Like, you remember the one with the witch? He said, oh yeah, that was a brilliant one. It's like you completely forget like an absolutely fantastic episode exists. So because it's so varied and high quality. So yeah, I think but yeah, I think it's amazing that they still managed to put out stuff this good. I think that's
Terrific
amazing.
work on the lads.
Yeah. If they're watching,
Yeah,
if they've hunted us down on Twitter, and then Rishi Smith will be talking about it in an interview, saying all these fans who didn't like the episode and then they thought it was outlandish or blah blah blah. But anyway, yeah. So I think we'll finish there, guys. If you guys want to quickly plug your channels and the kind of stuff you do.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Jetro, and on YouTube I do League of Gentlemen stuff. I'm going to do more League of Gentlemen stuff because I really like that show. I've got on a video about the history of the group, and also a thing about Val from the Denton family. I would suggest checking those out because they're good.
Yeah, those are great. I like the thing you did about the booklet, which a piece of merch I hadn't heard of.
Oh yeah, because I really like collecting merchandise for the show, so I'm quite nerdy about that kind of stuff. Ask me anything about that, and I'll be like, yes, I know the date it came out on, and exactly which stores and all that.
I guess I'm trying to promote on my channel. It's I don't know. I talk about different stuff on my channel, so it's Mr. Wall ! And yeah, I just put random videos on there. I guess you could say my channel is what Inside Number 9 is. It's different things.
The anthology series of YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, so a variety channel. But oh, sorry, continue.
I wasn't really going to say anything else. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, and if it's your first time watching me, I've been doing a live stream series about Psychoville. I've finished series 1. I'm going to do series 2 at some point, maybe around Halloween, maybe earlier. I'm planning on doing some stuff about League of Gentlemen as well this year, because of course it's the anniversary. I did a video essay on Deadline, which is longer than the episode. It's 38 minutes long or something.
I've watched
over 40.
Cracking one. You should watch that if you're new to Enchanted Essays and all that.
Oh, thank you. It is definitely one of the videos I'm proudest of, both in terms of writing and editing. Because I really challenged myself with the stuff I had to do with my with quite limited software. But and I've interviewed John Aird, who was the former head of digital comedy at the BBC. And we worked on the Psychoville websites and on was the one who commissioned the posters for series 1 of Inside Number 9. It was actually his idea. I interviewed him in November. I still haven't finished editing it because the anxiety it brings is overwhelming.
Oh my god! Please work on it, and that sounds amazing. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, so I've almost finished editing like the video down. I've been sort of doing other things in between. So obviously I'm doing if anyone here is a fan of Rick Mail, I'm doing a whole month of Rick Mail themed reviews. And I'm ahead of schedule with that, so hopefully that'll buy me some time to work on the Psychoville interview. But yeah, it's just like syncing the screen share with the his camera footage and that kind of thing, and makes it all a bit complicated. And it was a long interview. I'm really grateful to the guy for giving me so much of his time. But yeah, I think it will probably be out next month at some point. I think probably at the end of the Rick Mail stuff I should, and when I get back to doing my Monkeys episode reviews as well. Because those are very quick and easy to do, then hopefully I'll be able to get that done. But yeah, so thank you very much for joining me, guys. Thanks to everyone who's watching, all 77 of you. I cannot believe I'm saying it. 77 of you. I think that's definitely the most I've ever had at the same time. And of course, we've had people who've left as well. So that's just amazing, guys. Thank you so much.
So many people wanted to hear us ramble.
Yeah. Thanks everyone who commented. You're lovely as always. If you want to watch this again, I'm gonna go back and add timestamps so to make it a bit easier to browse through. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and see you guys again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.